Okay, I think I'm live and good. So, hey everybody, it's Sarah. So, welcome on a Friday night. So, there really isn't much of a purpose to this string. I just thought I would kind of chill, get practice with talking to the camera, sit and watch some YouTube videos and just kind of chill. I mean, if any of you guys decide to, come hang out with me, talk in the chat, have at it. So, but anyway, this is my stream. Hopefully I will get a little better about talking. I feel like the minute I hit the live button, I like freak out. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? So, but anyway, if you're interested, I've got my print cam up. I got it all set up. It is, yep, if I point here, yep, it's right up there. You'll notice my print cam. It is a Waze camera that's on top of my bamboo, and tonight it is printing some unicorn gibbets. So they look like my little enamel pins that I've made, except they're going to be smaller. And I'm going to put basically the backings that you need so that they stick into Crocs, because I'm getting ready to go to a festival that we've got on the 4th of July here, and they've got craft stores and such, so I'm going to do that. So they're going to be running in the printer, and in the meantime I'm just gonna kind of hang out and watch YouTube videos, react a little bit. I think I've got everything set up okay. I don't know if I can see my chat window or not. Again, still kind of new to this, so where's my YouTube chat window? Do I have to open up my studio separate? Why isn't that in OBS? I'm sure it is, and I just don't know how to bring it up yet. Docs, profile. Oh, there it is. Profile, docs, chat. There it is. Maybe. Anyway. Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. I'm gonna stick that up there. All right. No. Run. Yep, run. There. No, I want you to be like on top. There. Okay, that works. So, alrighty. So, what do we want to watch tonight and react to? So I've got lots of different things going at the moment. Some older stuff and some newer stuff. There's been lots of stuff with like Monet and the whole MLM. I kind of like that stuff. Oh, Etsy on demand strategy, money making pyramid. And we've got Rachel Oates. She does some really cool stuff as well. But all right, let's talk about the whole concept of making
What's up, guys?
Etsy.
Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Brand podcast. Today, we are going to be covering what I call the on-demand Etsy sales strategy that, well, no one is really using and no one really knows about. But I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret. You probably already know what this is. And if you've been following this channel or attending any live streams or watching any of our videos, you probably know what I'm about to share with you. And if you do, drop it in the comments. I'd love to see what your guess is. Now, let me just kind of give you a little bit of the backstory. Before I do, though, Chris Schaefer is here. He's just not in video form. We can't get his video to load. So he's just going to be right now in the chat. And also we can hear him. Chris, can we hear you? Are you actually there?
I'm in a super secret, undisclosed location.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Okay. So there is Chris. It's kind of weird hearing his voice and not seeing him. So he is listening. He is lurking. If we get his camera working, we'll bring him on. If not, I'm just going to kind of go through exactly what this strategy is, but also kind of share with you how I came to discover this, but also why I'm kind of kicking myself, because I'm looking at myself as a lazy marketer, something that I should have been doing once again. And, I stopped doing it for a little while because I got busy. And then I started using it again, and guess what? Started to get some sales. So we're going to continue to do it. So I'm just looking at the comments real quick, and we do have some people that did guess correctly. So we're not going to let it out of the bag yet, but I am going to basically share with you what that strategy is up front. So this way here, I'm not going to make you wait for it and all of that stuff. I'm not going to do the YouTube hack out there that's like, make everybody wait until the end. I'm not going to do that. Basically, what we're talking about is email. We're talking about using email marketing. And the reason why
Now, here's a question. Email marketing on Etsy. I'm pretty sure they recently were all about we don't want your email address going out to people, because there was this big shakeup with the fact that you could like create a mailing list and it was kind of ticking people off. So I'm curious as to what all you're thinking.
Say I kind of became lazy is because this past, I would say month and a half, actually I would say the last month, we've been busy. Myself, my wife, and my daughter, we've been traveling quite a bit to different colleges and also camp.
Okay, don't care. Let's see.
Of things. And yes, I have kind of gotten a little lazy there. I'm being honest. But now, because I'm going to be running this one-day email list workshop where we're going to do a little hybrid where we're actually going to be teaching the strategy on how to build a list, which I'll share some of that here with you guys today. I said, I probably should start sending some emails so I can actually show people what I was doing, and also to bring attention to why you should build email. I mean, guys, you guys know this. Like, my background, I'm a marketer. Like, I understand the way to get people interested in something is to show them that it actually works. So I'm like, probably should show them that it actually works. So speaking of that, let me just pull up my screen real quick. Let me pull up my screen. So check this out, okay? This is sales that came in from sending emails. This is revenue that is just from emails. If I did not send emails, this money would not have come in. And then the other thing I should say is...
Okay, but part of me wonders, like, how old your store is. Like, does this work if you're, like, a newer seller? I mean, he's gotten 10,000 clicks, so part of me is like, how big is your store? And they never really seem to include a link to their store, and I kind of wonder why. That always just seems a little strange to me.
This here was only being tracked once they rolled out the tracking link that now Etsy is giving us. They're giving us that share and save link, and we're able to now use that link in our emails. Up until that point, you couldn't track it. So I know for a fact that number is probably close to double. Okay?
Yeah, you can see in the comments here, somebody's like, how do you build an email list since we can't grab their emails? And I heard Etsy's cracking down on like QR codes, which I wonder where that's coming from.
From how I've been sending emails, because I've been sending emails for a long time. Oh, look at that. Chris is actually in the building. Wow, Chris.
Who knew?
Well, let's not get excited. Don't move too fast. It might lock up on you. So, yeah, Chris is in a secret location. And we'll probably talk about that here in a little bit. But, Chris, I'm on a roll here. I'm going to keep going. You can just kind of get yourself situated over there. So what we're looking at here is just traffic that's come from email. And you can also see that we've saved $330 because we don't pay the additional fees when we are driving our own traffic. So this is the cool thing.
Okay. And again, like I said, I am guilty of being lazy sometimes when it comes to doing what I'm telling you to do. And I fell victim to that. And you can see right here, this was from this week after I said, I probably should send an email. And that's what I did. So you can see here, this week was 11 orders from sending email, $478 this month so far. And again, this month, we're only 16 days into the month, but really, I only started sending these emails probably about a week and a half ago. Actually, it was the front end of last week, I believe it was. So, these are okay numbers. I think they should be higher, but if I did this every week, I can almost guarantee I'm probably going to make an extra $500 to $600 in sales every single week. So if we said it's just $500, we're professional because you're a business. You're supposed to look professional. Newsflash. Mine are basically a text doc. That is it. There is literally no graphics. And part of it is, it's been proven that your deliverability is better. So it shows up in people's inboxes without getting thrown into the promotions tab or the spam folder. So little pro tip there for you. If you want to increase your deliverability, let's face it, if you're not getting delivered in the inbox, you're not being seen. How many times have you went and searched in your spam folder for a message? How many times have you went in your promotions tab and looked for a message? Probably never, or if you did, you were looking for something because you're like, why didn't I receive it? It's got to be here. And then someone probably said, hey, why don't you look in these two folders? So my thing is we want that email to come through as if we are writing a friend. Because let's face it, these people, they're your friends. If they're buying from you and then repeat buying from you, which by the way, and I didn't have time to put this together, I really wanted to, but there was an order that came through from this email, and inside of Etsy now, it'll show you, it'll say in green, it'll say share and save. So it'll show you that order came in from a share and save. Okay. Now I know the only place that these links are being shared is in an email. So I know that came from an email. The other thing that Etsy has is they have a little star on the order, and the star on the order, that is repeat.
Okay, but again, how are you making an email list from Etsy if Etsy doesn't like this concept of sharing emails? It's like do you have a separate list? I mean, how do you pull those people over? I'm really kind of curious because it's like
comments and let me know. Here's the thing that I really want to make sure that I'm clear on this. We're talking about email, but we're talking about email to drive sales to Etsy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, go on.
Okay. So the big thing I want you to take away
I wish
from
there was
is
like
by
in
building
betweens.
an email list, no matter what you are selling or where you are selling, you are going to be able to take that email list and bring it wherever you need to go. Okay, so it's an asset. We're building an asset. The other thing is once you build a list, you know how to build a list. Like, this isn't my first time ever building a list inside of this business for my wife's Etsy shop. Like, it's probably like my 10th, right? And like I've been building email.
Okay, yeah. But how do you build an email list if Etsy doesn't really want to share emails? I'm going to scroll a little bit. He talks forever. I may stick him on 1.5. Let's stick him on 1.5. Let's go through this a little faster. I'm about to make you sound like a squirrel.
Process of creating an email list changed since you went to your first gala.
Oh my gosh.
And started doing it. Is it really the same thing now? Or have you had to massively change that strategy system in terms of how you get the emails?
No, the strategy is the same. So you guys probably know our strategy, but I'll walk you through it just briefly.
Okay.
What it looks like. And that way you'll see it's the exact same strategy. It's just modernized. It's a lot easier now. We don't have to enter in people's emails. And then you're going to get a character wrong, and it's going to be the wrong email address, right? It can still happen. They can enter it wrong too. But the way that it's evolved is we still have a main bundle that we're attracting people with, the right people. So imagine this. We're at the gala, right? And there's people walking by. This is a school function. So there's people there with kids. They're adults, right, with kids. And we know that they probably are going to get their pictures taken somewhere, whether it's JCPenney's, Sears, or maybe a local photographer, okay? So we knew that. But we're like, we're there. We're going to show them this is what we offer, and we're going to give one away.
Okay, so that's doing it outside. How do we do it on inside? How do we do it inside Etsy? Because it's like not all of us have outside. Like I can build an email list. Like I'm going to I'm going to the festival on the 4th of July. I can build an email list that way. You know, it's like, hey, sign up if you're interested and push people to my products. But how do you build an email list with Etsy if, again, Etsy is not wanting you to keep emails? I mean, that's been kind of a big hinder. And ironically, they did it like literally right after Everbee like dropped their little magic, you know, Everbee email. So how do we do that?
Traffic coming through, right? It's not like people that don't have kids.
Scrolling through.
Element to it is Chris and I are going to be showing up for 3 live sessions during this 7-day little list building challenge. If you would like to join us in this.
No, I don't. And see, there's people in the comments talking about it. It's like if Etsy's cracking down on QR code listings, like, you know.
Access to your customers and your prospects. If you use the fishbowl method the way that Scott just outlined it, the only reason anybody would opt into that is because they're interested in the thing that you're offering, right? Which means they are your ideal customer. Some of them will unsubscribe. That's just gonna happen, right? So once we
go a little further,
you do discounts, and it's for the VIP garden lover, person. And there's nothing wrong with that. They actually say that they want you to build an email newsletter. They want you to send emails. They wouldn't have done the share and save link if they didn't want you to drive your own traffic. People think, oh, it's just for social media. No, it's for email too, right? Because they don't care as long as you've gotten permission. That's the key word there, permission to send people emails. That's the big one, okay? So in your first message inside of Etsy, you can pre-do this, right? You can have this so it automatically goes out. You're not using any third-party tool. You're doing it from Etsy or with inside Etsy. You go to your thank you message, and it would say, hey, thank you so much for your order. We're going to be packaging it up and getting it out the door here real soon. We just want to say thank you for supporting a small business. And hey, while I got you, I wanted to invite you to our VIP club. If you go to gardenlovervip.com, you can join, and you can get exclusive discounts, early releases, and blah, 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 right? Like all of that stuff. Nothing wrong with that. It's their choice to click on the link, and it's their choice to enter their name and email address. If they do, they're on your list.
Okay, so what he's saying, what's taken him like 35 minutes to get to, is that when I set up Etsy and I like create a thank you email, which I'm gonna have to find where you can do that in Etsy. I don't honestly know off the top of my head. When you're doing that and you say, hey, thank you, the order's going out. By the way, if you're interested in more of my products, you can opt to join my mailing list, and I have it set up here. So you actually have to set up an email list sort of outside of Etsy. And I guess that's sort of getting around the process, because then they have to opt in versus you're collecting the emails as orders coming in, which, I mean, I can see it 2 ways. I mean, as a business owner, it would be really nice if you hey, you've purchased an order, I wish there was like an option, like when you first purchase that order and you're interested, that, you can like opt, would you like to join the mailing list of this small business owner, and then they can click that and be like, yeah, okay, subscribe, versus now you have to kind of sort of set this up separate. So it's like it's an additional step, I feel like, unless I'm missing something. I mean, there's a whole hour and a half left of this, right, so who knows.
Now, we're not even doing that, but this isn't what we're talking about today. That's not our strategy on how we built most of our list. Most of our list was built with the fishbowl method, okay? That's how it was built. And it works really well. And as you can see by our results, it's doing pretty well, okay? So if you're at all thinking like, well, Etsy's going to get mad, you're not even using Etsy to build a list. You're basically going outside of Etsy, and you're going to Facebook, and you're targeting people that are your ideal customers with your products that are on Etsy, and you're driving people over to Etsy. Etsy wouldn't have a problem with that. I think I have a problem with that, right? So anyone that's thinking like you can't build an email list anymore and send traffic to Etsy is wrong. And anybody that's saying that is wrong. And I would clearly debate that with them, okay? I know we've got some Etsy experts out there. We won't get into that. But yeah, email, it's yours. You built it outside of Etsy. You can do whatever you want with it. They're going to love it if you send traffic. Do you think that they're mad because I sent them traffic and I got an extra 16 orders? Do you think they're mad about that? No, they're happy.
Scott, don't they have a program specifically for that?
Yeah, it's called Share and Save.
Like share and save. Yeah, they pay you for that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, why would they have this, right? Why would they have traffic from your share and save links? You're saving on fees with every eligible order placed using your unique trackable link. Okay, this came from email. They don't mind. They like it. They like that. All right. So yeah. So
you really have to understand that you're building an asset for yourself, and also, Etsy is going to reward you for it. They're going to reward you here and save you $330 because you didn't use their traffic. You brought your own. And guess what? When you turn your email subscriber into a customer, guess what else Etsy gets?
Yeah, but that's only going to work if people actually make a purchase. Now, the fishbowl method, I think he was talking about, and I skipped over it a little bit. He was talking about how he had gone to an event and like had kind of opted people to like write down their emails and put it in a fishbowl and then they add to a list. That only works if you're like doing both, physical stores in addition to digital stores, unless he's talking about a different method.
They get to kind of follow them around a little bit, try to get them to buy more stuff of other people's stuff, not just yours. They're getting in the platform. Okay, so yeah, don't look at it as bad. It's not. It's actually a good thing. All right, Chris, can we move on? Let's do it. All right, cool. Let's get in the email. Who wants to get into the email? Can I get a yes in the comments if we want to move on here and get into this email? If any of you guys are just tuning in, I was going to share a couple of emails that produce this here, and it's actually what I call the lazy email marketing strategy because it didn't take me much time. It took me less than 10 minutes to write these, and I'm not a good writer, by the way. Cool, we got a lot of yeses, so let's get to it. All right, here we go. I'm going to read this. All right. Hey there, garden lovers.
I'm going to save us the time. Okay, so basically this is a short email. He was talking about how really just text emails work better and short little emails, which, I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's like a bajillion things you're trying to do marketing-wise. But, I don't know. I also feel like that's a little shady because they, it's like, oh, this is coming from a friend versus, well, do you know that it's coming from, like, this Etsy store owner? And, like, otherwise it'll be like, who the heck is that? Like, if I don't necessarily recognize where the email's coming from and it's in, like, this text format, I almost honestly feel like this looks kind of spammy. Like, am I the only one that thinks that? I mean, at the very least, I feel like putting, some sort of a header in would feel a little bit better. I mean, I know the idea is that these email subscribers are your friends because they're really interested, but at the same time, this reads kind of spammy.
I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. It's hard.
All right, scrolling.
Right, because they signed up to win a garden-loving, lover bundle. Right, they're gardeners. I know that. And what do gardeners usually like to? Birds. Right. So the years is, you see how I put check out my new garden patriotic flags here? That's in NLP world. I'm not going to get into that, but it's kind of like where you're saying a direct command to do something. I'm not big into that, but it works. I'm basically giving them a call to action, and I'm basically saying, check out my new garden patriotic flag here. So I'm basically saying, do it. Like, go check it out, right? Not like if you want to, like, yeah, you can throw that in there, but I don't want to say an if a lot. Now, I've done it, but I don't like to say it a lot. So let's just look.
Okay. Also, I'm getting a lag. Wonder why.
Yeah, there it is. You want to give it a try? Let's go to brandcreators.com/everbee. All right. And
pushing Everbee, of course.
Inside of their email program. And I'm very happy to say that I had something to do with it, because when they first rolled out this, before it even was rolled out, I was helping them with like what I would want to see as an email marketer and using it for Etsy. And one thing that they didn't even have on the timeline was resend to unopens. And I've been resending to unopens for a long time, and it works really good. So
resend.
You send out an email 7 a.m. in the morning. The next day, 24 hours have passed, and you have, let's just say that you have 20% of people open the email, which is actually, that's a good number. If you can get 20% opens on your email list, you're doing good. You're doing like average. You get above that, you're doing above average. Okay. But what I learned was there's people that are just busy. They just don't see it. And then they get a whole bunch of other emails piled on, and they're never going to see it, right? Their inbox is full with like 1,000 messages. Okay. So what I do is I go in the next day, usually the morning after, 24 hours later, and I will send an email to the people who did not open the email. And from that, I'm generally getting another 8, 10, sometimes 15% more opens that I wouldn't have gotten. And that also leads to, when someone opens an email, more clicks on the links inside the email. This here is a ninja hack. This is something that, like, no one...
I also feel like that's a really good way to piss people off. I mean, I realize I'm, like, one of only a select group of people that practices inbox zero, but if you start sending me an email on a daily basis saying, you didn't open my email, you're going to start to tick me off, and I'm gonna be hitting unsubscribe pretty quickly. Yeah, I'm not sure that's such a good idea. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? I mean, does that sound a little on the spammy side? I mean, I get the whole marketing thing, but there's a fine line to walk.
One's doing this, guaranteed. Okay, if you're using email right now, even if you only have 100 people and you get 20 people to open it, send it the next day to the unopens, to those 80 people that didn't open, and I bet you're going to get people to open. So this is something that I do with pretty much everything. Even my brand creators' emails, I will do that. If I'm not sending an email back to back, I send one out on Monday. Tuesday morning, I come in, I send to unopens. And then Wednesday, I've got a fresh email. Thursday, I send to the unopens. Friday, I got a fresh email. Saturday, to the unopens. Right now, I do change the title a little bit, so it's a little different. I might have to change the wording because I might have said, "Hey, it's Thursday," or "Happy Thursday," or something. I might say "Happy Friday" or whatever, right? So I have to change that up.
Yeah, no, that would irritate me. That really would. That would irritate me. Okay, so is the rest of this video pretty much just talking about being super spammy in Etsy marketing? Or... Not sure Everbee email is sophisticated enough for anything other than its Etsy subscriber function sadly. Okay, so it really doesn't do very much other than like that?
It's kind of cool. Yeah, no, it is. And somebody commented and said, not sure Everbee email is sophisticated enough for anything other than its Etsy subscriber functions, sadly. Well, I kind of would disagree, and it's going to get better. Again, I'm working with the development team pretty much side by side. Like if there's anything that you want added, let me know, and I can kind of relay that on. But they're actually going by priority of like what is the most important for the Etsy seller right now. But there is talk that it's going to be built for Shopify, for your own website. There's already tagging right now. That was never there before either. Like you can literally, if someone, again, I don't want to get too nerdy here, but if you can literally on the link, I can tag people that click on that link. So imagine this, and I do this a lot for brand creators. So if someone clicks on a link, I can add a tag that says that they clicked on the link. That means that they're interested, right? They clicked on it. They might not have purchased, but they're interested. And now I might have had 1,000 people open the email, but I had 100 clicks. Well, now I can send an email to just the 100 people that clicked, right? That wasn't there a month ago. It's there now. So they're really, really iterating and coming up with more features, and they will. And I know for a fact they want to be bigger than just Etsy for an email service. So yeah, and yeah, their landing pages you put in there, different. Yeah, there's a lot that they're going to be doing. I will say that. But right now, for the average person, even myself, this is all we're using for my web shop right now. That's it. I can't even convert people.
I feel like he's really tried to backtrack to save himself after that comment. I mean, seriously. Like, well, yeah, no, it doesn't do this. Well, we're going to try and add this and this and this. So basically, what it sounds like is like Everbee was really trying to push this for Etsy users, and because Etsy then turned around and said, no, we really don't want that integration, they're like, okay, now we have to backtrack and try and figure out how to add additional integration. Oh. And I'm glad you like the 1.5 speed, Jordan. Having listened to it, I'm like going, oh my god, how bad would this sound? Not just 1.0. I would like be ready to like click off. I'm almost ready to click off. Oh, we'll see if there's anything else he's got.
So there's a lot of cool things. The other thing is for the Etsy seller, you can preload in some of your best-selling products. So there's some cool things that you can do there. We're not going to get into all that stuff today. But yes, I am a fan. And here's the thing: if you outgrow Everbee, guess what you can do? Export all your emails and then import them into another provider. You can do that too.
So you can run if you need to.
All right, so let's move on. And again, I'm going to mention this. If you guys are digging this, go ahead and smash the like button. If you want more content like this, make sure that you subscribe. And if you want the resource that really kind of goes through this entire strategy that we've already talked about, we put it into a guide. So if you want that email.
Yeah, shameless plug.
Okay, and it had 31.51% open rate. And mind you, that's about, I think there's about 4,300 people on this list.
Okay, so these are just kind of showing campaigns and such. Is there anything else in here? Again, that whole 104 words thing. Wait, these are the same slides you just did. Again, except you've changed it now and it says summer. Huh. Okay.
To people that are interested in a niche. And that's why we're just a big fan of that. Just a big fan of that. All right. I think we went down the road of email pretty deep here, pretty far. If you guys have any other questions, drop them in there. I did have something else I wanted to share, actually a couple things, if we have time. I was going to go over, Chris, for another topic here, is the 4-day Etsy profit sales push strategy, and explain that. How we can, again, use email, and we can do it over a 4-day period to really accelerate sales. So that's the thing I wanted to kind of go through again. Who here would like to?
No. I know I scrolled over the niche section that he was talking about, but that's always one of those frustrating things. Is it's like I feel like that's taught constantly, not just with like Etsy print Etsy print on demand, but also on like YouTube channels. It's like niche down, niche down, niche down, and then you can expand when you're ready, and you might alienate some subscribers and they might leave, but they're like the riches are in the niches, and it's like that's, I don't know, maybe it's just me, that just feels very very hard to do. And I think I just lost my light. Did my battery die on my light? Yeah, I think I lost the battery on my light. Oh well, I don't look too bad on camera, so I'll be good. I still got the back, I got the rainbow glow behind my computer. That'll be enough. Where was it? Oh yeah, with the whole concept of niching down. Like that feels that, I mean, it could just be my, my brain the way it is, but I like to talk about a lot of different things. So I think it's more, what I think works a little better is build an audience that wants to come see your content, that, things that you're interested in, but also being authentic. There's really been this push for authenticity anymore. Like the fact that, I decided, tonight, why not, play around a little bit, practice streaming, watch some videos, hang out. Is it remotely what I do on my channel most of the time? Nope, it's not. I mean, I'm a crafty person. I mean, admittedly, you got my printer up here going with my little gibbets. They look like they're doing pretty good. Look like they're going on to layer 2 or such. Yep, they're going. So, I mean, you got, I do 3D printing here. I do Cricut stuff, and I'll have, another tutorial next week. But at the same time, it's like I just want to be myself. I just want to hang out, react to YouTube videos and some of the creator content that's all over the place. So, is that niching? I don't know. Thanks, Jordan. I think you're the only one here, but I appreciate it. So, yeah, I spend a lot of time. What's really weird about doing this streaming and practicing and all of that is I will sit like by myself and talk to myself without issue, like constantly. I tell stories all the time, but to just like no one. But the minute I turn on a camera, I'm like, oh my god, there's other people watching. I get, I don't know, all introverted. Let's find something else to watch. Let's see what else the YouTube algorithm will toss my direction. Seller demands ranks, reprint demand on marketplace. What else is in here? You can tell I watch a lot of MLM stuff, and that's been really interesting lately. Let's see. Etsy branding with Canva. Boring but works. You watch one video on how to crochet and like it keeps popping up in your feed. My little one wants to learn how to crochet, and I like pulled up a video and was trying to show her. She's like, I'm not getting this. And I'm like, it's gonna take some time. But it's just funny how one little hit and single video and your YouTube feed starts filling up with it. What are you complaining about, Kit? Yeah. You being crazy? Just don't bat the wrong USB cord down there, girlfriend. Let's see here. What else looks good? Lizzie made 100 sales in 30 days with a new mock-up store. Store audit. Some deep dives. I'll build a successful brand channel. Making keychains and pins. I can't decide. Let's hit the refresh button, see what else. Oh, I know one that would be good to react to. I'd started watching it, but I kind of just sort of scrolled by. It was one of those where it's like, yeah, I think I'll go back and watch it. Make or Break did a best laser cutter recently, so I was kind of curious a little bit about that. I guess he polled a bunch of people and they gave him a response to what's the best laser and all that, so
This is the best laser, and this is the worst laser, according to you, at least the 300 folks that filled out the survey. So in this video, we're going to get into what those lasers are, the features that you like and you don't like about them, as well as a bunch of other answers from the survey, including how many of you are actually making money with your laser. And
I'm going to slow him down because he talks much faster than the last guy.
There's actually a few of you making over $500,000 a year. All right, let's jump into it. So the idea for this video, as well as the survey, was because I actually got called out on that video a few weeks back, and pretty much all of the reviews of the lasers I do on this channel, I don't actually pay for.
Chance of seeing a single YouTuber pay for an Aeon laser with their own money, 0. Like every other laser on the market, every YouTuber with more than 1,000 subscribers will praise these lasers, and yet not a single one of them will pay for one with their own money. Oh, so he must be talking about the fact that a lot of the smaller desktop lasers, some of these companies will send them the lasers to, you know, just try out, and they'll let them keep them. Now, that's still a tax write-off. Well, non-tax, you will still have to most likely pay taxes on it, but that is very true. I know there was, I remember seeing one on a channel. She's like a little small business. She does like stickers and all that, and I like hadn't seen her do like any laser cutting work. And she then like suddenly posted a video where she was reviewing the X-Tool P2 and talking about it, and I'm like, you're like the cute small business girly Asmar. You do like, you know, stickers and labels and some sublimation on shirts and even like some recent direct to film stuff, but like laser cutter, like that's right out of like, you know, left field for you. So this is actually a really good point is the fact that a lot of the reviews on YouTube have a, hey, try it out, you know, maybe not necessarily a paid advertisement, but I mean, when you get gifted a big present like that, essentially, I think there's, you know, potentially, you know, if you don't leave a good review, maybe some backlash. I don't really know. I mean, I'm a sub-1,000 subscriber at this point, you know. My video I posted on the Juki Cloud was being completely honest after doing my review. Is it's like, are there better models out there? Probably. I mean, every laser kind of has its different, you know, nitpicks, and it does take time to learn using a laser. I mean, let's face it, you're going to be you really should always test cut material. I mean, every material is technically different. I mean, most of my time, my 3mm acrylic all kind of acts the same, so I use those same settings. But there are still times where I have to adjust things, because it's like maybe that day the laser is a little dirtier than expected, and I don't want to clean it, so I'm turning up the power, or, you know. So I wonder sometimes if that plays a role then with people who see these lasers recommended by subscribers and they get them and then they're frustrated because it's not as intuitive and turnkey as they would like. So let's see what he says.
So I get that can make it a little complicated, and even though I do my best to be as unbiased as possible, I totally get that that's probably impossible when I get something sent my way. What I want to do is start incorporating what you guys think of those lasers in these videos. So I sent out that survey to see what you liked as well as what you didn't, and it kind of grew from there to not only about the machines themselves, but also the types of things that you guys like to make, the software that you like to use, even where you find designs. And there's definitely a few things that surprise me, starting with this. So I'm actually going to pull up the results from the survey right here. So in general, about 300 of you guys took the survey. And the first one I wanted to see is if you actually...
So about 300. So when he's got a channel size of about 79,000. So we're talking 0.5%, less than 0.5% responded. But I mean, I don't know how good they're in activities. So about 300. So okay sample size.
Had a laser, and this surprised me because there is about 7% of the people that took this survey don't currently own a laser. So thanks for watching, even if you don't own one. Hopefully you'll pick out the one that you guys like the most in the future. And then I asked why those folks don't currently use a laser, and these were open response, and I got several talking about a very particular brand. This is Auteur. Basically folks saying that things were going wrong, wasn't able to get stuff fixed. This was my favorite. I absolutely do not recommend Auteur. But later you're going to see how many people actually do recommend this to their friends. But in general, you could probably guess the common theme. And for the most part, it was I just can't afford one, or I don't have enough space for the type of projects that I need to use it. Now, would that be...
Yeah, I mean, a desktop laser will set you back a few grand at minimum.
Said, let's talk about the background of folks that do currently use a laser. Now, lots of you guys own multiple machines, so you're able to select multiple brands. But you can probably guess what's going to be number one, especially if you're getting served ads on YouTube, and that is Xtool in terms of the most popular brand for the machines that people use. And one thing I do want to say about use, I didn't say buy at this point because I wanted to leave it open to cases where folks might be using it in a makerspace or an educational setting. So this is just folks that have access to a laser. What's the type of laser that they use? So you can see the breakdown right here. Xtool has 17%.
Okay, so Xtool 17%. That would make sense. That's a pretty well-known brand. And yeah, you do get a lot of ads for that one. Auteur, I have never heard of Auteur. Atom Stack, I recognize the name, don't know much about. OhmTech. OhmTech is one that is, I swear to God, a clone of Geeky Cloud. I think like you put them two machines next to each other and there's very little difference. Full Spectrum, SculptFun, here's Glowforge, 3%. And then you've got K40 monopore laser-matic, and these are more DIY machines. I mean K40 is really inexpensive, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't even come with like a cooling unit. Like you have to I think when you buy one, they like give recommendations if you go get an aquarium pump and a bucket of water to cool the laser. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that's what I remember about that one when I was doing my research a year ago. So these are smaller numbers, so most of the people, do those numbers all add up? 17, 30, 40, 49, 52, 55, 50, yeah, that does not add up to 100, so that's kind of weird.
Auteur, even though there are folks that don't like it, still a lot of you do, especially because they were kind of one of the really first ones in the budget diode category. That's actually like one of my very first laser reviews. They're at 13%. Then we've got Atom Stack at 10%, OhmTech at 9%, and then Full Spectrum Laser at 3%. And the next step I wanted to know like where you're using your laser. And I found that 62% of you are using it inside of your house, whether that's in your garage or a craft room, and then 38% of you are using it outside of your home. Specifically, we got about 20% of folks that actually have their own dedicated shop. This was surprising. Makerspace. That was only 3%, so there's only 9 folks of everyone that responded is using a laser inside of a makerspace.
Yeah, I mean, where I live, I don't know of a makerspace that's nearby. Otherwise, I definitely would have tried with things. So yeah, I know people. That's, I think, very specific to certain cities or bigger cities. I think of having access to a makerspace. It would be nice if there were more available, but there aren't nearly as many makerspaces as you would think.
For some reason, I was thinking that was going to be a lot bigger, but it just wasn't. Now let's talk about how good you are with lasers, starting with the experience in terms of years. Now 50% of you are in the 2 to 5 year range, with about 12% more than that, and then the rest underneath. So pretty good bell curve in terms of no experience all the way to 10 plus years experience.
That would make sense. I think with the advent of desktop lasers and Glowforge, you're looking at that 2 to 5 year window. So that would make sense that you would have this group of people. And as it's slowly started to take off, I would fall into 2 to 5 years at this point because I've had mine for over a year at this point. So that would make sense. And then you've got, some pros. that are really out here, and then 3% says they've never used a laser, which part of me is like, so why are we taking the poll, just out of curiosity?
Now, experience doesn't always translate to skill, so that was something I asked as well. So I wanted you to rate your laser ability, and pretty much the majority of you answered I can either do basics or I have a pretty good idea how lasers work. With about 9% on the very advanced side of things, and then 11% on the total beginner.
I can do the basics, or I'm pretty good. That's how comfortable am I with my laser? I've had it for 2 to 5 years. I can do the basics. I think at that point you can probably say you're pretty good. I would say I'm probably pretty good at this point. I mean, I can cut and engrave pretty much most material. I mean, I'm trying to think what you would say very advanced laser work would be. Unless you're thinking about some of like the crazy things I've seen, like doing powder infill and then firing it with a laser, or super precise work. But I don't know. What would you call it? I'm very advanced versus I'm pretty good. So, I mean, and again, this is really kind of subjective of how you feel.
Side of things. Now, this survey actually filtered out all the folks that don't currently have a laser. So these are people that have access to a laser, but still they're saying they're a total beginner. Well, lasers are really only one aspect to creating something like this. If you guys saw my previous video, then you saw me using a special piece of software to create this map design. It's pretty cool. Encourage you to check it out. But being able to create designs and how you create designs was a big piece that I wanted to know. So first I wanted to know, do you create your own designs? And 88% of you guys said yes. And then I wanted to know in what software you're using to do that. Now, this was actually pretty surprising and something I feel like that has changed over the years. Almost half, so 44% of you said you actually create your designs inside of the software itself. With Inkscape, the free vector editing software, 32%. And then you've got like Adobe Illustrator, Affinity Designer, even
Okay. So that's good to know. So at least the people answering the survey do their own design work. So this means the people doing the survey are less likely to be some of like your crafters that, you know, just kind of download something and just run that they're also taking the time to make their own designs. And which is a, you know, really kind of a factor with, you know, doing laser cutting is, I mean, I got the laser so that I could, you know, take my own designs and start putting them on actual physical products. So I mean, that kind of would make sense, but I also know there's just some people that it's almost kind of like working with the Cricut, where it's like, you know, you can select projects within the Cricut software and just run that. So most of these people are, no, I do more than that. I create my own designs. And inside laser control software, which would make sense. I mean, Lightburn itself is essentially a vector tool. Once I kind of figured that out, it really helps me kind of manipulate things a little bit better. I still like to make my SVGs in an outside software, and I have access to Adobe. I have a subscription for Adobe Illustrator. I'll use that, but I also have Affinity Designer that I use. Kittl and Canva. Have I done anything with Kittl in terms of laser cutting? I don't think I have. I've done that more on the design thing. But you can pull things out in SVG, so that is a possibility. And then Canva is okay. And I did actually recently do something out of that. They had a bunch of extra fonts in there, but that is a subscription software as well. So Inkscape is a free one that a lot of people use. I wonder what other means. I wonder what they mean by other designs. But that's an interesting distribution.
Photoshop and Canva showing up as well. But I was actually pretty surprised that the laser software is also where you're doing your design work. You're not just importing it directly in. And speaking of that laser software, this was probably not as surprising. The number one piece of laser software, according to you, in terms of what you actually use, is Lightburn, coming in at 85%. And basically all the other software that people listed is going to be machine specific. So
yep, that would make sense, because I mean, Lightburn is the industry standard at this point. And that's kind of what irritates some people if they have lasers that aren't compatible. Like, that's a big barrier to Glowforge, is like, you can't use Lightburn. Xtool Creative Space, I know that. The Xtool P2 I know can do both Lightburn, but it also has Creative Space. The fact that they say 18% makes me think, okay, so maybe it's, you know, fairly intuitive software to work with. I don't know, I don't have access to it. Things are moving up here. Kit, are you playing with cords down there? Naughty kitty. And then you've got also some of them that are probably very specific to the laser. Okay. So otherwise, most of us are like, well, yeah, I'm using Lightburn, of course. What else would I use?
Creative Space is going to come in at 19%. So even though it was the most popular brand of laser, there's a lot of lasers that can use Lightburn, including some Nexttool stuff, and you guys use it. Now, even though 80% of you are creating your own designs, I also wanted to see if you're going out there and using resources to pull in designs as well. So that's where do you find designs? And there are a lot of different resources you mentioned. This was open-ended, and I actually put together a list of all the different resources that you mentioned. You can find a link for that down below. I've talked about this in the past. This is a resource that I've had on my end, and I've updated with those resources from you as well. But for the most part, pretty much the two most popular answers were either you just straight Google it, or number two was Etsy. So a lot of you guys seem to be going out to Etsy and downloading designs and pulling them in as well. And in fact, I'd love to know from you where you are finding your designs. Leave a comment down below because I always want to be updating that list and give you guys as many resources as possible, specifically ones that you're not having to pay for.
Yeah, Etsy is definitely a good source for that. I mean, sometimes if there's things where it's like, I really just don't want to spend the time to make it, that's a good place to go. I just happen to notice when I scroll down here, Etsy has many laser patterns. As a full-time designer, I need to say that many pattern sellers are selling our copyright. And she's mentioning she's seeing some of her designs being sold without permission. And Etsy's not helping with this. That's not the first time I've heard that. That Etsy just has some issues as of late. I mean, they like go and do like a mass purge of places, but then they just struggle with copyright. Even if people report, hey, this is my design, it's been infringed, or you're not supposed to screw with the mouse, and yet you type in like, Disney and a bajillion things come up, and if you try to, comply thinking you're going to get caught, It's then very hard looking at like a store that's got thousands of sales because they're selling, ornaments or shirts with like, Disney stuff on it, and darn good and well that's violating copyrights laws left and right. Yeah. Even fan art gets really touchy with a number of those things. Okay.
So you've got your laser and your design software. What are the actual things that you guys are designing? Again, this was an open-ended question that I asked, but the types of products or things that you guys are making with the lasers kind of fall into about 8 different categories, going in order of how often I saw them, and some of these can kind of bleed into different places. First is going to be crafting and DIY. This is going to be like smaller things like keychains or Christmas ornaments or laser cut puzzles. There are a lot of those type of things that can fit into that category. Next is going to be engraving a specific item. These are usually like one-off stuff. There's a lot of people saying that like I engrave specific acrylic things or wooden things or metal things. You have a fiber laser. So that was number 2. And then number 3 was a sign or a label. And this is like a sign or a label in a business context. And I know especially for the businesses, this is something that came up over and over again for people making money. Then we've got jewelry and accessories. And then we've got house decor and household items. So this could be everything from like wall art, decorative signs to custom coasters. And then next up we have educational items. So specific things people are making for like classrooms. That came up a lot. So like toys, but toys you can use to educate. And then last but not least, we've got business or promotional items. These can be more things like awards or badges or stuff like that. And
oops, I missed it.
Making money. Let's talk about how many of you are making money with your lasers. And so what I found is the majority.
I missed it. I can't get that list back. Where'd it go?
A lot, like toys, but toys you can use to educate. And then last but not least, we've got business or promotional items. These can be more things like
there we go. That's again pretty much kind of what I expected, because again, with the Glowforge and all of that opening up, it kind of is this expanding, crafting DIY, and then of course engraving specific items. If you're like start to do this more as a business, it's more likely that you're going to see people, come and be like, can you engrave this item for me? And then that engraving time can be sold. Signs and labels. Actually, truth be told, most of my business right now, with Etsy not being super successful with products that I make, I get a lot of business actually from my dad. He works with one of the churches and has had like a bunch of signs that have need to be made. So he's like, can you engrave this for me and that? And so I've actually gotten a lot of business from just signs and labels. It's amazing, that you can just kind of pick money up just doing that. And I mean, it's certainly not complicated. I mean, most of the time it's like, hot water tab or something like that. So, but then you've got jewelry, home decor, prototyping. Oh, you forgot that one. Prototyping laser. Yeah, I guess if you're wanting to build things out of material that, like, I'm thinking of like foam core, poster board, or such. Okay, so let's see. Where are we gonna get to actually the part where you're like, let's see how people rated the lasers.
And speaking of making money, let's talk about how many of you are making money with your lasers. And what I found
Not as
is
many
that
as you would
majority
think.
Actually aren't. So 60% said you were using this just as a hobby, 30% saying it's a side income, 9% saying it's a full-time business, and then 2% of you are saying you're using it with.
Yep. So that definitely tells you, do you sell any of your designs online? I do sell designs online. I have, so my Labcraft Studio site has my puzzles as well as a couple of ornaments that I do, and then my Etsy store does as well. This past Christmas, I actually did an ornament with 13, or it did anywhere from like 11 to 14 names, like one of those bigger ornaments where like you have all of the individual names on it. It actually started as a gift that my mom wanted to give my grandfather. And she was actually looking on Etsy and she's like, I just can't find an ornament that has like a slot for 13 names. She's like, could you design something and run it? So I kind of was flipping through different designs on Etsy and ended up kind of playing around with the design that I saw where it's just kind of like these, little, it's like a large ornament and then like ornaments within ornaments that are like little circles. And I set it up for like 11 by 14 and 11 to 14 names. And, I gave it to her and then I ended up posting and I sold like 50 or 60 of that design for Christmas. It was steady business. It wasn't overwhelming. I thought, did okay for my first year. And because it was steady but not overwhelming, I was able to get the ornaments out within like a couple of days. And so my shipping turnaround time was really good. I had like tons of people commenting how much they appreciated that they got it, on time. I even had one person that sent me like an actual like email, like she wrote me an email to the address rather than just like a little Etsy message about how much she appreciated the turnaround time, because she had like another ornament ordered with like another person, and I don't know if like the order didn't go through or it came in and it was a disaster and something. And she ordered from me, like, I don't know, it was like the 18th or 19th of December. And she fully did not expect to see it in time for Christmas. And at that point, I only had like, one or two sitting around. So I, had run them, got them shipped, and she got it in time for Christmas. So it was, a little extra income, not a lot, but I do sell a couple of items. I have the ornaments, and then I've also got, I do custom puzzles. I figured out how to sublimate on white acrylic. I have a video on my channel where I show how to do that. But it started with having a small child who liked puzzles, but a dog that likes to eat, cardboard and all of that. So I started doing custom puzzles where I would sublimate the acrylic with whatever you wanted and then cut it. So they're like 3mm white acrylic. They're really good gifts for like kids, but they're also a nice, just a nice gift in general. I had a couple of, I did one actually that said, will you be my forever mom? And it had like a cat on it. So I don't know if that was like the way somebody proposed this past year or what. So do I sell files like STLs, SVGs, etc.? I do have some SVG cut files that I made a few years ago. I don't have any 3D print files. I have contemplated it. Might be something worth doing. At the moment, most of my designs are kind of like my flat pin designs that I've been working on with my enamel pins. I've got a bunch sitting over here. See if I can show them on camera. There. A couple of these haven't finished some of these yet. So this is actually with the one in the printer, except it's smaller because they're going to be little gibbets. So but this is a small little enamel pin design that I created. Little nerdy unicorn. If any of you guys have seen my little YouTube shorts, there's my toast. And then I drew these recently because I decided, you know what, screw it. I want to just draw and make some Pokemon. So I have like these little pins of Pokemon. So these are like a lot of my STLs, if you will, are like small flat pieces. Although I do have my MagSafe chargers. I've got one over here. I have these for sale on my shop. I don't think I have them posted on Etsy yet. But these are MagSafe chargers. So you can actually put a MagSafe charger inside it. It's hollowed out and you can connect it. It's got a spot in the back. And then your phone just sits on it and it's at the right angle where you'll get the little side widgets and it'll charge. So it's nice for the desk. I've got kind of a series that I'm doing, or that I did, I should say, because they're all done and they're posted, where there's like the earth, this is the air one, this is a 2-color print. Although all things considered, I suppose posting the STL files wouldn't be a terrible idea, because they do take a little bit of time to print. I also like being able to physically make items and sell them to people. So, but that is an idea. I guess as I create and design more things that I could post the files. Adorable. I bet you. Aw, thank you, Jordan. I have considered it. I think once I get a bigger audience, I will add a Patreon and start making things. Is kind of a, membership, especially since I like creating, stickers and little things. So it could be like a little happy mail. And then I wouldn't feel so bad at the fact that if I decide to make fan art, little Pokemon pins and all of that, then I'm sort of bypassing that, yeah, I'm selling it, copyright kind of issues. So that's definitely something I'm giving thought to. I think I'll wait till my audience is a little bit bigger. When I hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, I think I will do that. But it is definitely something I've given thought to. So, because I do like making cute stuff. I mean, I like making cute stuff. I like experimenting. That's kind of really how this channel just sort of came together. Is it's like, I will want to show all you guys what I'm doing, especially if I feel like there's like a problem or something that you could do better, like the fact that Cricut's print and cut won't let you do an entire page. Of course, Cricut keeps changing their system, because I tried to do my little print and cut hack earlier today on some frog stickers and it didn't line up and I was really kind of sad. So I don't know if I just need to, I updated Cricut recently, so I don't know if maybe I need to just like recut my print then cut template and do a full page that way. I'm rambling. So, but getting back to this video, that definitely makes sense that 60% are doing this for a hobby, because there's really been that surge of, ooh, this is fun. But then there's also that, how do I make this as a business? Because I would be willing to bet that some of these people in Hobbyland were kind of thinking how to make this a full-time business, but they haven't quite figured out how to do this. So, because it's hard. It's hard to get a business up and running. I mean, it takes time. You're definitely not going to get overnight success, which I've learned the hard way. I've tried to be a little more patient about it, but because I mean, things will slowly happen, and things are cyclical. I think definitely on Etsy, things are cyclical. You'll get way more people interested in purchasing things in the fall and in the wintertime, obviously, as gift season rolls around, and then like come January, things just kind of die off. So, but you can also get, if you, and I know people on Etsy are definitely interested in actual handmade items, not in the, you see a ton of print on demand stuff, and that's cool if it's your own designs, but also there's a lot of like drop shipping stuff that I see on Etsy, which is a little sad. But where was I going with that? I mean, handmade items that are personalized, I think really do well, and it'll bring people back. Like, I actually had somebody, I kid you not, they asked for a sublimated puzzle, and they sent me this picture, and I could tell it was done by Midjourney because I played in Midjourney, but it was this chiaro oscuro photo of a plate of chicken and waffles, like a really elegant painting, not like very detailed Renaissance style. And it was a plate of chicken and waffles. And I was like, what? And ironically, it made me actually kind of relook at how I do my sublimation and my laser printing, because I noticed when I would cut the sublimated laser acrylic, I would sometimes get a little bit of a a burn on the top, so you could really see the puzzle cut layers. And that was when I figured it, like played around and realized if I masked the material after I sublimated it, that cut down on that greatly because the picture was so dark. So I was really happy. It's like, oh, I've, modified my process. It's so much better. Of course, now every single puzzle piece I have to pull the masking off of. But anyway, they liked it. They liked it so much that like a month later, they ordered a second one. Slightly different generation of that picture, but that was kind of cool. The fact that there was, that I got that repeat business. So again, so you see let's get back to the video we were watching. So again, most people, hobby, a lot of the crafters, are like, ooh, new tool, laser cutter. So you're thinking, these are a lot of I can handle the crickets, so I'm going to try firing laser and cutting material. Admittedly, he hasn't anywhere in this, I know he mentioned it briefly, but I don't think anywhere in this little survey that he's going through, has he differentiated whether people have like a diode or a CO2 laser. Because that is sort of, they operate the same, but that definitely controls which material you do. Oh, thank you, Danita. I'm glad that you like them. I'm excited. There's more people watching and interacting with me. So I'm all excited. This is a practice stream, in case you're wondering. I'm learning how to talk and be interactive and all that. Newbie over here. So, but if you just joined us, we're just chit-chatting and hanging out, kind of talking about different videos. We found this one where it's like the best laser cutter. I'm waiting to find out what the best laser cutter is. He's going through his survey. So the impression I get is most of the people in this survey are hobbyists or, maybe hobbyists that want it to be a full-time business, but haven't quite got there yet. All right, so let's go on. Let's see.
And a company. But then I asked that 40% some specific business questions that started with how many employees you currently have. You can probably guess that the majority of you said it's just me, about 80% of you, and the number 2 option was like 2 to 3 to 17%. But then
again, because that whole like mostly hobbyists.
Ask the money question. So what is the yearly income that you make with your business? Now, I didn't say specific to the laser itself, and you'll see why here in a second. So just like within the business, whether it's a side income, full-time, blah, blah, blah. And so the majority are like $1 to $1,000, so very much a side income at 31%. About 20% of you are in the $1,000 to $5,000 a year. 16 is $5,000 to $10,000. Then 24% of you are making between $10,000 to $100,000.
So again, most of these are hobbyists, or I'm trying to make this. What's kind of ironic is it's like this is how much you're making within the business where you're using the laser. And most of these lasers are going to set you back a couple grand. So the vast majority of people in their side business have not been able to essentially profit. They're still sitting in the hole, which, I would definitely fall within that category. It's like, I've yet to pay mine off yet. So again, a lot of people that are responding to this survey are sort of the hobbyists or the hobbyists, with a new tool kind of thing.
A year, and then 2% are making over 500. Now again, this was a small sample size, so 2% really means 2 people, but they definitely are out there. So I asked people to actually give me like websites to their businesses so I could check them out, but I also said I wouldn't make that public. But I can say that as you get like higher up the income level, the more like full sign shop you get into. In fact, there's like 2 businesses in the $500,000 and up range are like full sign shops. So they're using lasers as like one element to be able to customize stuff, and then a lot of them are doing like big corporate jobs. And then kind of as you're stepping down, folks are still selling a lot of different items that they're custom branding, but a laser is just a tool in the bigger arsenal of like printing out all that kind of stuff to shipping. Now, finally, let's talk about your favorite and least favorite lasers.
Here we go.
What I had to do is I had to make this a brand just because I didn't have enough responses.
Here we go. Now we're going to kindly get into this. Also, just out of curiosity in the comments, does sound okay? Because you're actually, I think, hearing the video potentially through my microphone. So let me know if all of that sounds good. I was just curious now that I actually have people watching. Okay, so what is the best and the worst laser?
Give you like any real rankings in terms of lasers themselves. Maybe that's something I can do in the future. And then any brand that didn't get at least 5 responses, I pretty much like took it out of the survey. And then once I filtered all of those other brands out, I asked how satisfied are you with your machine on a scale of 1 to 10. And I want to give you the top 5, starting with number 5. Coming in with a score of 8.1 out of 10 is OhmTech. And a lot of you mentioned OhmTech Polar, which I've done several videos on in the past, and even some of their bigger machines. And then coming in at number 4 with a score of...
Okay, so sounds fine. Okay, good to know. So OhmTech, I mentioned earlier, is like, I swear to God, the clone to the Juki Cloud that I have. Like if you lay the machines next to each other, they're almost the same. I'm told that maybe the OhmTech support is in the US versus Juki being in China. So, but that's interesting. So OhmTech.
8.2 is my favorite diode laser from last year, and that is the Lasermatic from Raleigh. And there's actually 16 of you that have it and rated it. And then coming in at number 3 with a rating of 8.5, we've got Thunder Laser. And a lot of you mentioned the Thunderbolt. And that's actually my favorite currently. A really, really nice machine. Thunder's a great company. They do a great job.
I've heard good things about it, but it is huge. I mean, you can do some really deep things, but it is huge. You got to have room for that machine. That's either I'm living in your garage or like, you know, you've dedicated an entire like quarter.
Then coming in at number 2 with a score of 8.6. This was the most maybe surprising to me because this is not a traditional laser brand. You're going to be a lot more familiar with them, with the machines behind me. This is actually Creality, which is normally a 3D printing brand. But with their Falcon 2, especially their fully, do I have it in here? No, I don't have it in here, but I'll show you B-roll. The fully enclosed machine is a very, very nice machine. And they've actually even upgraded the wattage to, I believe, 60 watts. I've got.
Okay. Didn't know Creality made one. This looks like it's a diode though. So the OhmTech Polar, which was coming in at number 5, is a CO2. You've got this one and the one before it, which were both diodes. And there's a difference, again, with what material you can work with. You're a bit more limited with diodes. Now it uses less power. It's a good starting machine depending on what material you want to work with. Like, for instance, I use a lot of white acrylic. That ain't gonna work with a diode. That's exclusively CO2. There's only a select number of colors that you can use in acrylic with a diode laser. And I know the Glowforge Aura that came out, it's a smaller one that I think you can actually get at Michael's, got everybody excited. I was like, oh, it's a smaller one. And it's like, and I looked at it and I was like, no, this is a diode. So you're only going to get yay so many colors with that one. So if you're really wanting to do a lot more colors with acrylic, you're going to need to invest in a CO2 laser, which of course is a bigger machine.
That I'm doing a review on it currently, so they've been knocking it out of the park. Now there's only 5 of you that have that machine, but of those that have it, you really seem to like it. And then drumroll, please. The number 1 rated laser brand with a score of 9.0 out of 10 is Aeon Laser. Now, big caveat, this was only from 6 folks that have the machine, but I could totally see this happening because Aeon has a really, really good.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I can see that Aeon is a really good brand. I do know that. But notice the number of people that are mentioned. It's like 6 of you, and 6 of you are really, really happy. 5 of you, and 5 of you are really, really happy. There were like 300 plus in the survey. So that's kind of interesting. So it's like there's a very small group of people that are extremely happy with their laser.
Brand online, a lot of people seem to love their machines. I don't have any hands-on experience with their machines, but according to 6 of you that took the survey, you do, and you really like it. And then I asked how likely you were to recommend this machine to a friend. The only difference was that Raleigh and Thunder just switched spots. Aeon was still number 1, but it was at a 9.3 out of 10, so even higher. Now let's talk about the lasers that you guys do not like. So I'm going to give you the top 5. So going from like least worst to worst. So number 1 is going to be the worst brand. I got 5 or more reviews. And number 5, this was the one that people were hitting on at the beginning of the survey, and that is O'Tour, and they've got a rating of 7.5 out of 10. And then the 4th worst is going to be Sculpt Fun. I've done reviews on Sculpt Fun in the past, but I do kind of get the placement here. It's like your average diode machine. It's pretty similar to most of the other machines out there. Now, the 3rd worst was actually pretty popular, and this is AtomStack. AtomStack has a massive line of machines. I've done several reviews on the past, and you guys rated it a 7.1. Now, the runner-up to the worst laser brand, according to you, with a rating of 6.4, is Glowforge.
Okay. So in the bottom set, you've got 3 diodes and then a CO2, Glowforge being the runner-up. Okay. I mean, I could understand that. Glowforge, I think probably the biggest issue there is with Glowforge that you're kind of locked in. You can't use Lightburn. So you're very locked into their software. You have to be connected to the internet. I think you even have some limitations with what you can actually do with the laser unless you have like their premium subscription. And if Glowforge were ever to go down and disappear, you have one very expensive 110-pound paperweight. I'm guessing mine's 110. So like I can see that. Again, I wish he would have like taken this survey with, you know, best laser cutter versus worst laser cutter and split it out between diode and CO2, because I still think those are I still feel like they're appealing to a different crowd.
probably could have seen this coming. The fact that the system is like fully locked down, you have to use the internet. They came out of the gates really hot. There wasn't much like them when they first started, but on the machine itself, we haven't really seen many, if any, improvements. They do have new machines on the lower end of the market, but the actual Glowforge CO2 machine, we haven't seen many updates.
That's true. I think the last time I looked at their settings, they were still doing like 45 watt, maybe their max. Last time I looked, and a lot of CO2 lasers now have moved on and are 55 watt. All right, so what is the worst machine according to this survey?
And you guys seem to reflect that. And then the worst laser brand according to you, and this actually was pretty surprising. I would not have expected this one. This was Weak, or the G machine, they like to call it. And this was a
Mine! My machine made worst. Interesting. Okay. Having been in the Facebook group, I could imagine there's some people that have been very frustrated with it. Okay, why is it the worst? Do they happen to say?
only 5 reviews, and my personal experience.
And again, only 5 people on this review. 5 people who took this survey said that they had the G-Key Cloud and gave it the absolute worst ratings. So, a bit of a sample bias. Because it's like, if I had taken this, I would have possibly even skewed, given the numbers they were showing, I possibly could have even skewed it enough that it would have been Glowforge, had I known about the survey.
For these machines, they do a good job. I think the company itself is pretty comparable to OhmTech, if not a little bit nicer, but for whatever reason, you guys do not seem to have a great experience. Now, you probably noticed there's like one key brand that is not showing up, and that is the most popular brand according to you, and that is X-Tool. So let me give you like the full list. There's actually 13 brands that received 5.
Oh, and that's why, because out of, he did like the 5 and the 5, and X-Tool kind of came in right at the middle, and then you've got generic CO2, whatever the heck that means. Okay. But again, doing this study, it's like 5 people with the G-Key Cloud, and apparently the 5 people that subscribe are like, I really don't like it. And then you've got 5 people with Aeon laser, and they gave it super high reviews. And this is a pro level laser, so I take these results with a grain of salt.
Ratings, and X-Tool came right in the middle at number 7. So it received the most ratings at 59. It had a score of 7.7 in terms of overall satisfaction, as well as 7.7 in terms of recommendation. Here is the top list, 1 through 13 on satisfaction, as well as recommendation. Now, the last part of the survey asked, what do you like and what do you dislike about the machines that you have after rating them? This was open-ended, and there are a lot of responses, but I did my best to kind of categorize them into 10 different categories. So in terms of what people liked the most, number 1 had to do with speed. And I can totally see this with how especially diode machines are marketed. Usually you'll see something like 24,000 millimeters per minute blazing across the website. CO2 as well, you'll see like 900 millimeters per second. Even like one of my most recent videos was 5 times faster. Number 2 was ease of use. And this was actually really cool to see because that's really not going to be on the marketing. That's just going to be once you use the machine, the fact that it's easy to use, it's going to be helpful. And then number 3 is going to be power. So how much wattage does that diode or CO2 or fiber machine have? And then on the dislike side of things, number 1 is actually going to be power. So a lot of you said that like this machine is good, but I just wish I had more power because I want to cut through more stuff, or I actually want to use the speed that I like about it. But I find when I actually run it at the top speed that it does a good job advertising. I can't really use it because
this is true. You will get like these advertising for really fast speeds, and it's like in reality, it's like, I mean, like I think my machine can go up to like 500 millimeters a second. Like I think it's advertised as that, but if I'm cutting acrylic, 17. Like some material for. I mean, it's a trade-off. It's like how much power, how fast you want to go. I mean, ultimately, you dial in the settings to give yourself the best results you can, and some material will be faster than others. I can tell you the speed that I use to cut and engrave my acrylic is a fraction of the speed that I'm going to use for paper, because if I do that with, that's slower speed with paper, then, well, I'm making a bonfire, which isn't good. But if I try to use, that level of speed that I would use for paper on acrylic, it's barely going to graze it. I mean, part of that is dependent on the material. So that would make me think that some of the people answering this survey maybe don't necessarily factor that in, that the two work together. And sure, it advertises that does not mean you're going to get a project done that fast. I mean, it is you know, it just doesn't work that way. Even if you had, like, for instance, the Juki Cloud has 50-55 watt, depending on which one you get. Even if you were to, like, bump that all the way to one of Aeon's 100-watt lasers doing acrylic, you're still not going to be running it at 500 millimeters a second. That's still not going to work. So unless you're trying to do, like, maybe a quick, more vector engrave, which is sort of where you're kind of engraving it, but you're engraving it with slightly less power, but increased speed. Sometimes I will do that with some of the Laser Max material I've done that with, where I wanted to get like really sharp, like a sharp engrave. And I wasn't necessarily wanting to get that lines. I think I've done it once, and honestly, it was to put like a tiny little name on like a little charm. I made a charm bracelet out of like the Laser Max material, so it was like gold on one side and black on the other. So I made one for my mom, and like to put the names on them that tiny. I wasn't finding like the standard back and forth engrave method was working, so I did a laser engrave where I basically ran it as if it was a cut file, or like, you know, have it cut the letters like it was trying to do a single line cut, and I ran it like a cut file, only I ran it faster, so it didn't go all the way through. So that's just kind of an example of what I was thinking.
The power's pretty limiting. The number two is going to be size. And this kind of broke into like the size of the actual machine, but a lot of it was the size of the workbench, because a lot of folks had a powerful machine, fast machine, but they just wanted to do stuff that was bigger than the machine itself. But speed did still show up, and that was number three. Folks found it slow. And this was especially true on the cutting side. So that's not where you're going to hit your max speed. That's just going to be for engraving. But speed and power are pretty linked. In fact, here is the top 10 for both of those lists if you want to check it.
So dislikes, so again, power, speed, size, cost, of course. Safety. Interesting. Okay. Just like so, there must have been some safety aspects for some lasers. Precision, ease of use, versatility, maintenance, portability. Okay. Likes the ease of use was... So, devices that are easier to use, obviously, are devices that are liked. And keep in mind with this as well, as it's like, you know, the people that rated the Aeon laser. Aeon is, again, a bigger laser company. It's more likely to be those that are like kind of seen in the bigger stores, people who actually know their lasers very well, do this, you know, really for a living, versus your hobbyists who are going to be, you know, picking up smaller machines. And again, there's that learning curve. So
Now, like I mentioned before, those likes and dislikes were actually open-ended questions, and I can split them up by brand. Now, I am going to use some of those reviews in the future, but I've actually put all of them together in a document if you kind of want to see what people like, don't like about specific brands. There is a link down below for you guys to check it out. So I would love to know which...
I'm curious. Brand reviews. Let's see. Full responses. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I'd be really, really curious, but I don't want to give my email out, so that's interesting, though. Okay. Well, it is going for 11 o'clock at the moment. So, my little one has a big day tomorrow, so I think I'm going to get off at this point. But I'm glad to have spent a little bit of time hanging out, kind of rambling to you guys. I hope tonight was fun. Answered, you know, some questions. I may do this in the future. I will try to maybe schedule it and, you know, give you guys all a heads up, so you don't just like randomly be like, oh, hey, Sarah's streaming, I wonder what she's up to. And if you guys have any ideas or such that you know, videos you want reviewed in the future, or, you know, want to see me working on a project, feel free to leave a comment in this video below, because I'll post it, you know, for replay. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good night, get some sleep, and I will see you next time. Bye!